Hey guys, this is Ed and Wyatt from Mission Impossible. Today we're going to be doing a tier list of Atari releases from 1985 to 1988. So let's
and
get
one
into
from
it.
1983.
And one from 1983. That was an outlier.
It took a while to get here.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you start us off?
Okay, what is this first one?
First one's Crossbow.
Crossbow. Okay, that one. It's almost. I've been thinking about it. It almost had a point-and-click adventure.
Yes.
Sort of puzzle-scape to it, where
a little bit, because you get to choose which direction you were going to go.
Yeah.
You know, showing the guy moving and you're trying to protect him. Which is an interesting concept as opposed to a normal game where you're the guy. No, you're kind of
other guy.
The other guy. You're on the grassy knoll.
You're the third guy, or at one point the fourth guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And but the difference is, instead of it being kind of a solve a puzzle or relax, it is also a shooting gallery of constant death.
Yes.
Because almost everything anyway, kills instantly in one hit.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of space. Yeah.
If they'd have had a health bar, maybe that'd have been kind of cool.
Even just 2 hits, I think, would have been.
That'd have been nice. I like the graphics on it.
Yeah, the graphics were pretty cool.
Yeah.
You have your series of multicolored Robin Hoods.
Yep.
Who are trying to
multicolored. That's pretty much what they were.
Walk across
very slowly.
Very slow. No running for them.
Yeah, it was very much just meandering. Just kind of just.
And every bat or ant that they came across could kill them. Yes. I don't know what quest they were on exactly. But
they were trying to reach the castle. That was the thing.
They should have done better training. I'm gonna give that one a solid B though. The type of game that brought something to it, being sort of a, shooting gallery with a twist that I think the games need at this point, given how many shooting galleries Atari made. But definitely a slow...
Yeah,
it's slow. It's too slow and too fast at the same time.
Yeah.
The guys don't move fast enough, but everything else does.
Yeah. My biggest problem with it was the fact that moving a character across the screen was difficult.
The cursor
was
that's
what I mean. Yeah,
quite
the cursor, not the character, but the cursor. It was really hard.
It's hard to aim.
Yeah,
they could have made it a little bigger, just to give you a little more forgiving room.
That'd have been interesting. And then if it was a little bigger, then it would have been a little bit nicer. Now it was based off an arcade game, so I think they had
with a light gun and stuff.
With a light gun. So.
But especially since they had a light gun come out that year and they decided not to use it, I think
that's a problem. Is we've talked about like the whole idea of you require a peripheral. There's a problem. That can be problematic. Now, at this point, Atari was they were on the way out. They were not, the crash had happened, and I think at this point they were just trying to kind of recoup and try to keep the engine going. So coming out with a new peripheral, I don't think was really high on their list. Now, they did have it for the XEGS, the XE game system, and they could have possibly made it work here, but
I understand that would be difficult. It's just, I understand that peripheral might not be quite what they were wanting, but the fact that they're still making 2,600 games at this time when they have all these other systems anyway is kind of.
But I mean, and then when Nintendo comes out with Duck Hunt,
and everyone loves Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Duck Hunt is a smash hit.
Yes,
it seems like they were.
If they could have had that ability on this, that would have been.
I'd say they shot themselves in the foot, but they didn't have a gun to do it. So.
There you go. That being said, though, I think that it's got stuff going on, and I would give it a B as well.
It has a bit of spice.
Yeah, I do like the fact that it's not just a shooting gallery. You have a reason for shooting these things, and a reason for aiming at specific things to shoot.
I'm gonna say for our next game, Dark Chambers? Dark Chambers, not just Dark Chamber.
Yep.
There's more than one chamber.
Yes, there's absolutely.
There's a lot of other
Theoretically,
chambers.
There's 26 chambers, I would imagine.
Yeah, a severe amount of chambers. It was a game that I could see the fun of, and I think the multiplayer made it more interesting.
Way better.
Way more interesting.
Yes.
However, I will still, I can only really give it either a high C or a low B, but I'm going to give it a low B Well, I'll put it at C for now. I might change my mind. The biggest problem with it is that it was kind of dull in some ways.
Fair.
And it just no music, not a lot of sound effects.
Right.
And just a lot of meandering about. So that when you were playing with two people, really cool. But the majority of our time we were just kind of trading back and forth.
Now, if we did just on 2-player,
I definitely could see it. That's why I'm putting it right at this precipice, and I might change it later. But just thinking about, again, just having a 2600 and just having myself to play, that's not really a game I would gravitate towards.
Well, personally, I really like dungeon crawlers. That's one of my favorite genres of games. And, you know, if you look at games like Diablo and any of these kind of games, they have very much, you know, these kind of games to look back to. I am going to put it square in A. And the reason is because the 2600 has a very limited amount of stuff you can do with it. And the fact that they were able to do Dark Chambers on the 2600 was pretty impressive. Now, that's normally... fair. I believe in the other ports of this, because this had, I talked about this during the stream. This game is very related to Gauntlet, as well as Dandy, and the deal is that they couldn't put the entire map on the same screen, so it had to be different screens that you had to go to. Now, the good thing is that they were contiguous as far as like you go right here, you can go up and go left, and you
could map it out.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, it does make sense, and that's huge in a game like this. So for me, I could see playing that again. Definitely with 2 players, though, that's what makes it huge.
That's the big difference maker.
It doesn't have a lot of the charm that Gauntlet had, like the voice and the, being able to shoot the food and all that.
Yeah.
But the basic game loop is there, and the fact that it is, multiple levels that you can go through, and they are, they have a name for them, so you can come back to it and be like, this was J. You have to go up here, you got to go over there, and then you got to shoot the thing to get the exit. I really enjoyed it. I had never actually played it before for today, and I am actually interested to see what they did on the 7800 as well as the 8-bit version.
I would be much more interested in those, I think. Yeah. That's part of it, is just that limitation that made it so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this isn't really a flaw, just a strange design choice for this particular version. Every enemy was the same guy in a series of costumes?
I don't know why they did it that way, because you could have just had either a health bar on the screen, or you just keep shooting.
A number of hits.
Yeah. You got to hit the wizard 5 times. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Don't maybe have a graphic that shows you hit him, but don't just keep changing the graphic. That was odd. It was
confusing because it went through a list of men.
And what was funny about that, though, is the fact that they didn't need to do that. That was a design choice.
It seemed unnecessary in every way.
Very odd.
Desert Falcon is our next one. That's got to be a C, a lower C.
Okay.
That game was on novice. You could move, you could get it, and once you sort of understood it a little more, it was definitely a little more flowy. But it's a non-intuitive game. I don't really know why that sometimes we would beat the Sphinx in a second and a half, and why sometimes we wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Even though a lot of times we were always standing in the same spot, shooting him a bunch.
Yeah.
The music was interesting. I actually quite liked the music.
Mm-hmm.
The animation of the bird, the actual falcon flying through the desert when you would take off.
And I like how when he was walking, those kind of looked like a chicken or something.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell what you were at first. It looked like a blob until you flew.
Yeah.
Going down to fly is an interesting choice.
I think they were trying to go for like flight controls where you go up, but
backwards. It didn't quite land.
Yeah, it was kind of
And
weird.
then it's just pick up hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
And it's like, does matching matter? Does it not? It's not clear.
We could have probably read the manual on it.
Sure, and there would have been...
But I don't know if it would have helped.
Yeah.
Because we were just going through getting everything we could. There's a lot of things I think that they could have done better in the game. Make those hieroglyphs, make it so that you need a 3 of a kind in order to do something. And maybe that was the case, and maybe we just lucked out. I don't know.
It could be. It didn't seem that way though.
Yeah.
It also was just kind of ugly at times.
Which should be the Sphinx was a little bit hard to look at.
Yeah, there were just some color and sprite choices that were like, I don't really know what I'm looking at or why I'm looking at it.
Yeah, the red blobs coming at you.
Yeah, like
the fact that you couldn't, you get shot by a random thing off screen.
You could never shoot the things that were shooting you.
Yes.
Just bullets were raining from the sky.
I don't understand why you could shoot during the flying level. That's dumb.
Because none of the guys ever seemed to die when you were shooting towards them. Yeah. So, not my favorite.
My biggest thing there is that it was different. It was a different kind of game. Seeing this before, I always thought it was like going to be an aircraft kind of game. I think of the game Falcon, and I think of, it's like, oh, it's going to be like a jet simulator kind of thing. It's like, no, you're a Falcon.
It does what it says on the tin. Yeah.
In the desert, it's like, you can't get way more spot on than that as far as the name. That being said, I actually liked it.
Falcon in the green desert.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was fun, but it was you know what, I'm gonna have to go for probably a B+ though.
I got
it was good. I thought it was definitely a fun game. I wouldn't mind like learning a little bit more, like to see if there was something that we missed.
Sure,
it's possible we missed something. It's possible that not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely hit or miss because of that. So there's some grace that you can give it, and I appreciate it was trying to do something new. It's just it's interesting. We've gone to the point where at this length of the system. In a lot of other systems, the games that come out right at the end have mastered the system.
Right.
And they're all, like, the best games on many console generations in the future are in that last year that it existed.
Yep.
But it seems like, at least for the Atari published games, after they hit that wall and the crash, they were trying some things, but largely were just trying to pump something out.
Right. I really like the perspective on it, though. The isometric,
perspective,
Zaxxon perspective, that kind of 3/4 isometric.
I think they could. I think with a little more polish, that could have been really cool. It was unique to have that.
Like if they'd have had like those not the pyramids, but like the columns.
Yeah.
If those were shooting you, like if they,
the obelisks.
Taking all these obelisks. There you go. So if they'd have had those shooting at you, and you could shoot those.
It's like sentry towers.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like taking a game and making it better from 40 years ago.
Yeah. Hey, game jam idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Make games better.
Yes.
Double Dunk. That was interesting. I'm not sure where to put Double Dunk right away.
Traveling. Traveling. Yeah,
it's not good. It's the problem. It's got cool things to it, like being able to choose
like
your
all
guy.
The different features they were adding made it interesting, but not any more fun.
No, not really.
It was like they were trying to be more technically accurate on like the basketball aspect,
but they ended up being less technically fun on the basketball.
Yeah, and everything was traveling, and it's like.
And it didn't even make sense that was traveling.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have to like do something to make sure you're dribbling, that seems like one of those things that should be an automatic thing. You shouldn't have to tell it to dribble.
Yeah,
I don't think traveling should be even in the game, to be honest.
Not a game like this.
I mean, think about it like in a even in a modern sports game, do they have traveling in there?
Yeah, that I don't know, but I doubt it.
Because what do you have to do? Just keep punching the button? No, that would be dumb,
But yeah, just as a game, it was. Yeah, to be honest, I almost.
You're gonna go for D.
I think I'm gonna go for D.
Okay.
Triple D now.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
D Double Dunk, because it did not capture the spirit of basketball. I think the coolest thing about it was And the thing that might eventually make me change it back to C, the animation of the guys dancing right at the front.
Yeah, that was cool. That was the guys dancing. And the fact that you have your different...
You could choose, and you had some rules that you could choose.
Yeah.
There were some cool things there, but as a game, I was just not impressed.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for a C. I really like the fact that at this point, they've started putting in on the title screen, you can choose all of this stuff as opposed to having to mess with like select.
Yeah, having an actual menu is nice. I will give it that. It's
huge.
And I might even bump it. Yeah, I actually will put it back because
I feel like they were trying.
Just the menu makes a huge difference.
They were trying to do some cool stuff with it. Unfortunately, I feel like they spent more time on the title and the menu screen
than they did the game.
And unfortunately, it's like it was glitchy, and I don't know if it was my dump or whatever, but it was weird.
Not great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put boxing in D though.
Okay.
I thought that it looked pretty decent at times.
Okay.
But it was really just. It was
a button masher.
It was a button masher, but also you had to do it in a direction. If you just hit the button, nothing happened.
Sure.
And I don't think that that's necessarily fun for a game like this.
Sure.
Where, you don't want to be moving, so I don't want to go this direction and press this button all the time. It was not... I obviously, reading the manuals could help in this instance, like what the bar was and stuff, but it also just wasn't clear why one filled up and the other didn't when we were doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And the blocking, I don't know, it just felt very... Yeah, this might not be fully accurate. It lacked momentum.
Okay.
In a certain way, because you couldn't back up while you were blocking. You couldn't hold the button and back up. You would push that, and then you were stuck there until you inputted other things.
Right.
And you could lean against the ropes, but it didn't seem to do anything. And you could punch, and then it would stick there.
Right.
Like after you punch, it would just hold if you don't do anything else.
Right.
And it's like that.
It needs to,
It needs to come back.
Yeah.
Finish the punch without me having to do more inputs.
Right.
I shouldn't have to control every muscle to contract it back as well. It fell apart in that for me.
I think
I really like that you can choose your guy.
Yeah. That was neat, kind of like the other game.
But I gotta say, given that that's starting to just be a thing, it wasn't as impressive because of that.
Sure. I think the thing for me is perspective. When you're dealing with, trying to do these perspective on this kind of angle, if you compare it, it's unfair, but if you compare it to like Punch-Out, you've got left and right, it's very much like a left, right, and center kind of thing. You have different punches and you can do these things. It's very obvious when you're doing different moves. Whereas on this, it's really kind of hard to tell. You just jam in there.
And you can also go up and down, and if you're not on the right plane, it's hard to tell if you're making contact or not.
Right.
That's why a lot of original 2D fighters didn't let you move up and down at all. You were clashing directly against each other.
So they remove an axis.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it.
But you don't feel like you're missing out on anything because it's like you want to be connecting. And that's why 3D fighters struggled for a long time, and why Mortal Kombat went back to being a 2D fighter in the modern age.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because it was really awkward dealing with the 3D stuff, because it's not on the right plane. It's very much
3D arena fighters famously weren't very great, and this is like almost a predecessor to that.
I'm gonna
not that you can't do a 3D arena fighter well, but just
it's difficult.
Yeah. Snoopy though.
Yeah.
I am excited about Snoopy. I almost want to put it in S, but I think given other games that we played so far, I've just got to put it in A. That was a fun game that was really charming.
It was a really simple game, but that's okay.
It hit. Yeah. It hit though.
Yeah. I really like the idea of the. I always like it when they do interesting things for a life bar.
The animation, of having the holes.
The holes in the
doghouse.
Yeah, the doghouse. That was neat, because I was like, at first I didn't quite understand it. You read in the manual, it's like, yes, you have 8 shots, and then your doghouse goes down. So that part was really neat. I think that they they really captured Snoopy, the animation,
he looked like Snoopy.
And he had the cool, the bandana or whatever,
Yep,
the thing
there was
behind him, the scarf, I guess, behind him.
There was no mistaking him.
Yeah, that was absolutely Snoopy.
It was Snoopy.
I wish that you could go up and
a little more
higher. That was a
like
little odd.
Having a wall there was kind of weird.
Yeah. And the odd part of catching food was a little odd, but I guess it gives you something to do.
It was also charming.
Yes.
Because it made you want to do other things, but it was like, okay.
And a chance of shooting the food.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
It was risk, but it nailed it, I think.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm gonna go at above Dark Chambers for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of those I had never played before at all. And but yeah, so this was the one that was actually in 1983 that we missed when we met there. But that's okay. It definitely was cool. So
very fun.
Yes.
Sprint Master. Sprint Master. That's right. Ah, man, I'm tempted to put it high C, but I think it might deserve a low B. No, it does not. It was not as good as Indy 500, I think.
This reminds me of the same kind of problems that plagued games like Double Dunk. It was kind of like all the features that they added were really cool, but they spent more time on that than the game itself.
Than polishing it to make it a good game.
Like for example, the crash mode was worthless. It was like you were crashing without running into anything.
Yeah, it was just constant explosions.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could go into a tunnel and it doesn't guarantee it, like it doesn't take control or just teleport you to the other side.
Yeah.
Meant you could get stuck.
That is a thing in other games like this. So that is kind of like that. If they're trying to go by like Super Sprint or Champion Sprint,
sure,
that is a thing.
It doesn't have any.
It should show like an
arrow,
not an arrow or something on the screen to be able to show where you are.
Because it's really easy to get stuck in there, and especially because this doesn't have as much fun outside of that little patch.
Yeah.
If that was the only problem with the game, this would be a no-brainer in an A or B. But because of that, it's like, geez.
I like the fact that all had all the courses.
Yeah.
I think
the features they did add were cool. They just didn't make it a great packaged game to go with that.
If you look at the physics in Indy 500 on ice mode, for example, that was fun.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun playing with the ice mode.
Ice mode is a cool mode if you can do it right.
Another one is the fact that they use controllers, which are non-analog. If they would have used the driving controllers, again, that's one of those cases where he's an extra peripheral.
Yeah.
But if they would have made it to be able to say, in that fancy title screen, be able to say driving controller or joystick,
that would be great.
That would have been massive.
Yep.
And then it'd be like, all right, now the problem is, though, playing this over Indy 500, it's kind of like...
I'm not sure I would.
Yeah, it was... I had wanted to add a bunch of stuff, but it failed in the execution.
It added bells instead of improving the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the part. It's like having all the stuff and having the ability to get the power-ups. That was cool in a way, but except the problem is you get speed going, and then you're impossible to control.
Especially if you have crash on.
Yeah.
Then suddenly you're blowing up
to control
even more.
Yeah, and that was the thing I had a problem with, is that what they should have done truly is if they would have slowed the game down.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to go that fast in order to really
capture the feeling of speed.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's like this track is massive compared to your car. If you're just driving along and you're going slow, then you can speed it up a little bit, it'd be fine. But the problem is you are already going pretty fast and you're already making a turn.
Yeah, and then of course, because everyone else, the other person's going so fast, the traction power-up just slowed you down and didn't actually help with handling.
Yeah, I think they could have gone a long way by just making it a lot slower.
Sure.
And some people would say it would make it dull then. No, I think there was enough stuff going on.
I think they could have done it.
It would have been fun. That being said, I really wanted to like this game. It's just, unfortunately, it's just not. I know where they were trying to go.
Yeah.
I know where they were trying to go. They were trying to capture champion sprint and
they just
sprint
broke down on the way to getting where they wanted to go
and stuff like that. Yeah, it just didn't quite make the mark, unfortunately.
Super Baseball. Real easy somewhere in the sea because it didn't need to exist. It's the exact It's the exact same game.
So it's like we had baseball home run.
Yeah.
Then we had the RealSports baseball.
Yep.
As opposed to fake sports baseball. And then we have Super Baseball.
And I feel like there might have even been one more in there somewhere. But
the issue is there that by Atari, I think there were 3 of them. But then it's like, so, the point with this is it didn't really add any more. And in fact, I think they removed some of it. Some of the stuff was not, it didn't need to exist.
No, it also feels like it lessens the RealSports brand that they were trying to build.
Yeah.
They were trying to build a whole subset of sports, one of which came out in this time frame.
Exactly.
Like RealSports boxing, and it's just a letdown because it.
I want to say RealSports boxing came out like in '87, and then these came out in '88. Sure,
but in those couple of years when they don't have a ton of games coming out,
right?
Instead of leaning into the things they do have, they're like, let's scrap all of our. It's like if instead of Pac-Man, Namco was like, let's make Tiny Discman and have it be the exact same game.
Yeah.
Because we've got to pump out more games.
Yeah.
They could have made it RealSports Baseball 2.
Yeah, and that would have been, I was actually thinking they could have done that.
But instead they also abandoned a thing, so it fell flat on all fronts for me. Just a whole big fart. That's what that game is.
Okay, last one.
Super Football, I can make an exception for that.
Yes.
It was...
definitely different than
I don't know that it's it's the most fun, but I gotta say, as a football game, it felt a lot better. You could complete a pass in this one, where I truly did not feel you could in RealSports football.
Yes.
The perspective was cool also. The way that you could see
that was actually a lot of
goals incoming. They got closer.
Yeah.
You could actually kick a field goal and it felt good and made sense when you did or didn't.
Right.
And the way that it changed perspective after a punt to where it was pretty smooth, actually. That improved on football games.
Yes. So that, to me, that was, when we look at like the baseball one, it didn't need to exist because they didn't really improve on any of
No, not at all.
Well, and, none of them were great. Yeah, I will say that.
Of course, yeah.
But when we got to football here, they made strides each time.
Each one was different.
Well, I think that each one was better than the last. I feel like with Super Football, now they were like, hey, let's do it differently. Let's not try to just do a top down. Let's do the perspective.
From the side.
Perspective. This was very much like modern football games.
It was starting to get there. Yeah, you can see the seeds.
Exactly.
Whereas I actually think there were 4 because there was RealSports and Super Baseball, and then there was the first baseball game we played, and then there was one right after that where you could have like slightly more guys.
I think that was RealSports.
No, RealSports is exactly like Super Baseball. So there were 4, I believe. Okay. But the first 2 were exactly the same, and then the last 2 were exactly the same. You can look. We have the footage. You can check which one of us is right. And when it's me, he's going to look dumb, but he's not going to ever mention it again on video. So just know that. If he's right, you'll hear about it the next time we do a video. If he's wrong, this will never come up again.
Are you insinuating that I don't claim when I make an error that I don't claim that? Dude, if there are 4, I will absolutely claim it on the comments. Yeah, in the comments.
Get in the comments.
If we've had 3 or 4,
regardless, were
baseball games only.
Baseball games only.
3 or 4. definitely put it in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
I don't quite remember how many football games. I think there were only three of those, but that's they were all distinct enough that even there, if there was a fourth one, it would be definitely different.
You're right.
What I'm saying is the baseball games didn't make enough strides of improvement to exist.
Sure.
But these football ones definitely did.
All right. Well, that being said, I need to rate the football game. I really liked it. I think I'm going to put it at
high B+.
plus.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
thought they did a great job with it. I love the perspective. Granted, we didn't look in the manual and figure out all the plays were.
But to be honest,
the fact that you were able to kick a field goal, that was cool.
It was pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
It came pretty easy. Given
I felt like I kept choosing the same pass, but that's okay because the same receiver kept going. I'm like, all right, I'll just keep throwing to him,
and it ended up working out pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't.
Do we even get? We didn't never get a touchdown.
No, I got a field goal, I think. But even still,
it was fun.
I had fun. I would play it again just for fun.
Exactly. All right, so that's all we have for today. So definitely leave a comment on if there are 3 or 4 baseball games.
But also just leave a comment.
That we've covered, obviously.
Yes. Of the Atari published games that we've gone over in streams and retrogrades and stuff. Right. And also just let us know what you think of the lists as usual. And, if there's... We had this happen with Snoopy. If there's any games we've missed from these years that were an Atari published game that
you really want us to cover, we'll do it.
That we're so missing out on, or that we are avoiding the bullet on that you want us to take anyway, just let us know.
We also want to know, since we're getting down to the Atari releases, we have one more
stream of those.
And then we're going to be going to the third-party producers, third parties, I guess.
Yeah.
So we definitely are going to be doing Activision and Magic, Parker Brothers. So leave a comment.
Names.
Yeah, leave a comment if you want to see some particular third party covered.
Yeah, if there's a third party that is like lesser known or that you really love that is like the best games on the system, but we wouldn't know to look at them, let us know and we can add them to a video.
Star Path is going to be another one.
Yep, we heard about that in the stream. So
leave a comment below.
I'm definitely curious.
Appreciate it. So, alrighty, well, that's all we have. So, see you in the next adventure. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. I post new videos all the time and I wouldn't want you to miss any. If you'd like to see more of this series, be sure to click up here. And if you'd like to see something else, be sure to click up here.